Good morning from Carcassonne, France. This morning I got a Flixbus from Toulouse, arrived about 15 minutes ago. It's Sunday, hence why it's practically empty. It's a ghost town. Here in this square is where they'll be doing the Pass the Torch relay race next month. Sure, that's an exciting event to witness. I wouldn't participate as I'm too unfit. Probably pass the torch to the first person next to me before I even set off. But yeah, unfortunately I'm not going to be here for that. I'm only here for today and tomorrow. In a couple of hours I'll be having lunch at a nice Michelin guide listed restaurant that has cheap lunch deals, much like the first place I ate at in Toulouse. I'm excited to eat there as Cassoulet is on the menu. And you've got to eat a good Cassoulet when you're dining in France. For now, I guess I'll just wander around a little bit. Not a great deal of things to do on Sunday, but of course there's a medieval walled town just a little bit of a walk away from this sort of more commercial area. Amazing, these medieval towns. So small yet has such an impressive cathedral right in the heart of the town. Mass was about to begin within like 10-15 minutes. I saw the priest coming out and decided I'd probably leave before then. Be a bit awkward getting up in the middle of it. But yeah, very impressive cathedral. C'est enfant mort pour la patrie. I may have butchered that, but I know what it means. This is a memorial wall with names of young men who died in combat during the Great War, or World War I as you might know it, all hailing from Carcassonne. There's a statue of a French Republican political activist who was part of a society of such activists who tried to overthrow Louis Philippe. Well, it failed, and he was subsequently forced into, well, what was supposed to be perpetual detention until being freed by the revolution sometime later. This whole boulevard is named after him as well. Now that has to be one of my favourite war memorials that I've seen. It looks amazing. And various plaques that have been installed over the years since it was first erected. One for the 50th anniversary of the end of the Great War. One for the French soldiers fighting in campaigns across Africa and Italy. Then 50 years after the end of the Second World War and the liberation of France from the Nazis. Very impressive statue. About to set off across the bridge to the old town. There's a nice little chapel inside the tower, the bridge. Pretty cool. Made it inside the walled town of Carcassonne, and I'm about to eat some good local food. This is a Michelin listed restaurant. It doesn't have a particular distinction, but it's considered very good, so it's in the guide. I arrived probably 5 minutes late for my table, which is never a problem. Usually 15 minutes or more is a problem because it's very hard to find your way around these narrow, winding medieval streets. I'll show you when I get back outside, but I literally had no time to vlog it. I was just panicking trying to find the little side street of this hidden restaurant. Anyway, we have a great deal, 24 euros for an entree, plat and dessert. And I'm of course going to have to go for the Cassoulet as my main, it would be rude not to have Cassoulet at least once when you're in the when you're in the south of France. To start, I like the sound of the onion and free textures. Fine puree chips, reduced broth, scented with laurel. Sounds interesting. The other one, creamy peas and sorbet, did sound good too. But I'm going to go for that. Seems a little more French, you know. And for dessert, probably going to go for the candied pear with Caribbean chocolate. I'm going to treat myself to a bottle of wine. Because the Cassoulet comes with duck and pork sausage, I feel a nice bottle of red will suit best. Begin. A glass of sparkling wine. Not quite champagne, much cheaper, but I'm sure good nonetheless. Very nice actually. But my very enthusiastic server came over, uncorked the wine, and told me that it is...
So this is a decadent of onion.
Wow.
You have a fresh onion, you have onion chips, you have onion soup, and this is Betmal cream. It's a cheese from Pyrenees Mountain. It's a cow cheese. It's delicious. It's a good association.
Wow.
Enjoy yourself.
Thank you very much. Let's give it a go. So it's sort of like an onion broth, almost like an elevated version of a French soup, but minus the cheese. It's just entirely onion pretty much. Well, there is cheese, but it's like more of a cheese foam than like melted cheese. So it's like a modern elevated take on traditional food. Oh, that's good. Oh, that's really good. Sorry. No problem, thank you. Got a little bit of bread to dunk in there. I mean, no surprises. If you don't like onion, you wouldn't enjoy this dish. It is just pure onion. But the textures and the creaminess of the cheese, it's quite light. But then you've got those crispy caramelised onions just to give it something a little different. A really good starter for lunch. Flavourful, but light, which is just what you want, because the Cassoulet is quite a heavy dish, so you don't want to fill up too badly on the starter. It's been sufficiently aired out while eating my onion soup. It's ready. Really fruity, really light. It's like a nice light summery red. Very palatable. Quite oftentimes with red wines, I can only really drink them with food because it feels so like deep and rich, kind of, you know, that I feel like there needs to be some food to kind of cut through it. But this is like, I could easily just go through a bottle of this with no food at all. This is the definition of the summer wine, really. It's light, it's pleasant, it's fruity, and I think it will go very well with the Cassoulet. As my waiter suggested, it was a very good choice when I made it. So I just went off on a limb, by the way. I'm no expert on wine, so I just chose one from the menu that sounded good, and yeah, it got me praise. Cassoulet has arrived. Look at it, bubbling away. Still absolutely roasting hot. I'm probably going to have to give that a little bit of time to cool down so that I don't completely destroy the inside of my mouth with this. But it looks, oh, incredible. So, haricot beans, similar to like the baked beans that you'd get in the UK, but in a tomato sauce back in the UK. And then we've got lots of meat, we've got pork, we've got duck. Look at that fatty meat. It's all slow cooked. It's all slow cooked in this pot so that all the flavours just melt together in one big, insane portion of food. And just look, meat on the bone. That is going to taste amazing. The bone marrow has already slipped out somewhere, so that's just going to add to the meatiness of this. There it is. There's the marrow. Let's start with that. Delicious, really delicious. but it is still super hot. And look, got a full sausage, and well, quite a big portion of sausage. It's just a big, meaty, hearty, incredible stew. I'm mixing it up a little to air it out a bit, and then I'm gonna just give it a moment so I can enjoy it without all the time. But this looks absolutely amazing. Don't wait any longer. It's still steaming, but I just need to get stuck in. Look at that. A lovely fatty piece of meat. It's just all so soft and tender because of how it's just slow cooked in this pot all together. That is exceptional. Try a bit of the sausage. It's just, if you're a meat lover and you're a stew lover, I don't think you can go wrong with this at all. It's just such a decadently fatty, amazing, soft. I don't know, I'm running out of words to describe just how good this is. You can imagine, just by looking at it, I'm sure, that this is not exactly a health freak's dream dinner. This is not something if you're counting calories and trying to avoid fatty foods. This is just ultimate pleasure, comfort. This would actually be really good in winter, but as it stands, there's actually a bit of a cool breeze coming from the outside area, so it's perfect for this temperature. So good. And then here, got a bit of the duck on the bone, of which I tried the marrow, but now we're going to try some of the meat, and it just sort of falls off the bone really. You just give it a gentle scrape. But let's not just eat all the meat without the beans. You need to eat some of the beans too, so let's just get some of those beans onto a forkful with the duck. Those beans that have been sitting at the bottom, they're absolutely scalding. So let's just go for another bit of meat. And what's great is I still have some bread left over, just to mop up whatever remains. But it's incredible. It's such a good value meal, you know, 24 euros for 3 courses, and they give you a big bowl of Cassoullet like this. The fat just almost is like butter. Fatty flavour to them. Everything is just melded together, all the flavours have just come together. So every bite just is rich and delicious. Genuinely might be my favourite French food that I've ever tried. There's something just so ultimately comfortable about it. All I can think of is like if I imagine like one day I'm feeling sad or feeling a little bit ill, feeling a little bit worse for wear. On a winter's day, it's dark outside, it's pretty depressing vibes. And someone just brings me this. And some wine. And I mean, it can't miraculously cure sadness, but it would help. It would definitely help. I'm just going to go ahead and make a little sandwich with that fat. Just spread it almost like it's butter. There's a bit of meat there, a bit of fat. Oh wait, that is actually also fat. Just spread it, layer it down a little. Add a few beans. Just get a bit of meat off the bone. It was inevitable.
I didn't want it to come, but it had to. The last bite, the end of this meal. Well, maybe 2 bites. I'm going to fashion it into another sandwich. Okay, a bit of meat fell off. I'll save that for the last mouthful with my fork. But yeah, we've made it to the end, and it's bittersweet because that is genuinely, no hyperbole, one of the best things I've ever eaten in my life. I would come back to Carcassonne literally just for this dish. And the way I'm describing it, despite how dramatic it is, he's not doing it justice, honestly. I'm going to drop the link to this restaurant in the description, the link to the website so you can book it for yourself. I implore anybody who stumbles upon this video, because they might be planning a trip to Carcassonne and they wanted to see something, please do yourself a favour and book this restaurant. €27, 3 courses, one of which is one of the best things I've eaten. Do I need to do anything else to persuade you? Dessert. I don't have a lot of room left for dessert, but fortunately it looks quite light and tasteful. We have the candied pear with Caribbean chocolate and some kind of biscuit. And like a mousse, which is made out of the chocolate. It will be so hard for anything to top that Cassoulet in a long time. But this looks like a really good way to finish, so let's see. How is it? So we have like a ginger biscuit crumbled up at the bottom. Those flavours complement each other really nicely. It's a little rich, but somehow still light and palatable after a big heavy meal. Almost palate cleansing with the pear. It's like refreshing. Delicious. Just €59 for 3 courses, one of which was one of the best things I've ever eaten in my life. A whole bottle of wine, a bottle of sparkling water, and a flute of sparkling wine. That's in the heart of Carcassonne, a really busy tourist destination. That is just incredible value, and I'm going to throw on a good tip because the service was just as comforting as the food was. Very touristy little town. Not that I expected anything different. It's super crowded, full of souvenir shops, restaurants, ice cream shops, and little places showcasing some of the medieval things, just like I showed you right there. I think it loses a lot of its charm when it becomes overcrowded with things like this, but it makes complete sense, obviously. You know, they're going to have to capitalise on it in some way. But it just feels odd going into what should be like a capsule of medieval times and then seeing a place selling ice cream and I don't know. I think the odd restaurant is good, like going to the one that I went to, it's a little bit discreet, it's hidden on a side street, but then you've got all this lot, it's like, it takes away the charm. Oh well, it's not my town, I can't decide what happens here. I'll just have a little wander around, see if I can explore the whole city walls, and then head to my apartment where I'll be checking in for the first time. And we can't get up on the battlements. Hopefully at least I can get inside this magnificent cathedral. Certainly the one outside of the old town is more impressive in my opinion. However, this one
It's still a pretty beautiful building. But it's amazing though that there are two massive cathedrals in the same town. One for the new version and one here in the medieval part of town. Did my trip here in Toulouse and Carcassonne. Everything's been free. Went to a cathedral, a chapel, a tower, free. Found the first tourist trap, so to speak. And it's just part of the old town with the castle and like sort of battlements. And you have to pay to get in, and it's like 11 euros. And you're gonna have to just queue and follow behind all these people. I'm really not that interested, if I'm completely honest with you. I don't think there's anything I can see there that I can't see everywhere else. It's the same kind of buildings. There's nothing inside to really vlog either, so not even for the benefit of the video would it be worth it. As good as free as gonna get. I climbed up this little section here and see what I presume they may have used as a last line of defence. Should someone cross the wall on the other side there and manage to get into here, maybe they'd start firing arrows. Yeah, here I am, leaving the old town. It's very touristy, it's lost all of its charm. Souvenir shops, restaurants, ice cream places, horse rides, all this shit. It's definitely not quite like Béziers where I went, where it was a lot less over-touristic, but it is pretty to see. It does have, you know, it does retain its structures, it does retain sort of on the outside, it looks better than it does when you actually enter the castle or the medieval city itself. To my humble abode for the evening, a little bachelor pad, until I check out tomorrow morning. Nice, comfortable living space, basic but clean, comfortable. Here is the I'm just trying to show the surrounding streets, and I'm interrupting a French argument with my camera. Little toilet, a lovely view. Of another old church and some beautiful rooftops. Down there looks like there's another bar, but it looks like it's closed today. And then, you know, bed, comfortable. Nice shower space. I've already taken a shower. It's a fairly good shower, to be fair, and yeah, that's it. £38, I think it was, for the night. Can't really complain at all about that price. It's, you know, really reasonable. I visited Brasserie à Forton for my final meal in Carcassonne. I had to go all out. I went for the escargots en croûte, which were absolutely amazing. You generally know what you're getting with escargot. The flavours are always going to be pretty much the same due to the typical garlic and parsley butter that they come with. However, that pastry baked over the top of them was a great way of cooking them, and honestly I don't want to go back to them inside the shell again. En croûte for me, every time, please. Next up was a whole artichoke with dried pork liver, green beans, and a sauce which quite honestly just did not go really well. It was too sweet and overpowering. The dish honestly felt a little bit thrown together and wasn't outstanding at all, but for a salad course it was at least somewhat inventive, and the artichoke was pleasant and fresh. Then I had my main, which kind of confused me. The dish on the menu was described as veal sweetbreads in cordon bleu style, which is by definition, as a dish, wrapped in cheese and deep fried. The literal word translates in English as exceptional cook, and if that is what they meant, then they were maybe halfway there. The sweetbreads were cooked just to my liking. Absolutely no complaints with the protein, and the jus was absolutely lovely with it. The Spanish tortilla style potatoes that are often found on tapas menus in Spain were here pretty bland and just not the best accompaniment to sweetbreads. It was just a strange pairing in my opinion. I feel like maybe they had to freestyle a little bit due to some issues with what they had available in the kitchen, which would make a bit of sense, but that's just my theory. To finish,
came one of the most incredible desserts I've ever had. Bordeloo tart with raspberry, licorice, almond, strawberry, fennel, honey and cream. An explosion of sweet, expertly balanced flavours that just had me feeling pure nirvana with every luxurious bite. What a way to finish any meal, but what an exceptional way to finish a foodie weekend in France.
My service at the restaurant, à Forton, was a mixed bag. I had some delicious food, but I will say that the service was embarrassingly slow. It is what it is. I had a pretty good overall meal for my last one here. Probably this is going to be the last time you see me here in this trip, so I hope you foodies out there enjoyed this video, but anybody, thanks for watching. See you next time.